There's this really fascinating rumor going around that Disney might actually be developing a live-action Lilith movie, and apparently, Charlize Theron is being eyed to play Lilith herself. It's one of those ideas that feels both unexpected and completely perfect at the same time, because if there's anyone who can blend elegance, power, and danger all at once, it's Charlize Theron. And while Disney has already reimagined several classic villains, like Maleficent, who went from a curse-casting witch to a misunderstood fairy, this Lilith movie could take things to a whole new level. Because Lilith isn't just another fairy tale villain, she's one of the oldest and most mysterious figures in mythology, a character who existed long before the Brothers Grimm or even the Bible, as most people know it. In fact, Lilith's roots go way back to ancient Mesopotamia and Jewish folklore, where she was seen as a primordial she-demon, the first woman who refused to bow down to Adam. That's right. According to some old Talmudic stories, Lilith was Adam's first wife, created from the same earth as him. But when she refused to be subservient, she was banished from the Garden of Eden and replaced by Eve. That's already the kind of setup that feels perfect for a modern Disney retelling, especially if they follow the Maleficent model, taking a story that once painted a woman as evil and showing the pain, rebellion, and power behind it instead. So imagine this. The movie opens in Eden, all golden light and harmony, but there's tension underneath. Adam and Lilith are supposed to live equally, but things start to crumble because Lilith refuses to obey him. She believes in freedom, in being treated as an equal, something that makes her defiant in the eyes of heaven. When she walks away from Eden, the world labels her as a demon. But in this live-action version, maybe she's not evil, maybe she's just misunderstood, like Maleficent was before her. And if Disney's involved, they definitely weave this mythic and biblical origin into something cinematic and emotional. It wouldn't be just fire and brimstone, it would be filled with beautiful, dreamlike visuals, the kind that make even rebellion look poetic. Charlize Theron would be perfect for that kind of tone because she can play power and heartbreak at the same time. You can picture her with those sharp eyes, torn between vengeance and compassion, in a story that's about identity, loss, and rediscovering purpose. The myth of Lilith has evolved so much over the centuries that there's a bunch of different directions the movie could take. In the Talmud, she's described as a dangerous night spirit, someone who roams the world after being banished, full of fury and grief. Later texts, like the Zohar, call her a fiery female spirit who once cohabited with angels and demons alike. Some scholars say her name comes from the Akkadian word lilu, meaning night, which gives her this haunting nocturnal aura. So in a cinematic version, she could easily become a symbol of the night itself, powerful, mysterious, and untamed. And since the word Lilith also appears in the book of Isaiah, where it's sometimes translated as a night creature or screech owl, the story could blend biblical imagery with dark fantasy elements. Imagine Disney's creative team building a mystical world, part Eden, part Shadow Realm, where angels, spirits, and fallen beings all coexist. They could play with light and darkness, showing Lilith as the bridge between both worlds. Even though traditional interpretations paint her as a villain, this kind of retelling could show her in a new light, as a woman punished for demanding equality, or as someone who found strength in isolation. That's something audiences today would really connect with. And if we look at how Disney has handled these kinds of live-action reinterpretations, there's a clear pattern. In Maleficent, the evil witch turned out to be a protector, whose actions were born out of betrayal and heartbreak. In Cruella, the villain from 101 Dalmatians became a rebellious artist fighting against a cruel system. So it makes sense that Lilith could follow the same storytelling pattern, taking someone once considered monstrous and showing the humanity behind her myth. It's not just about rewriting her story, it's about reclaiming it. Because for centuries, Lilith has been this symbol of defiance, the first woman to say no to authority. And that makes her fascinating for modern audiences. Even though some ancient texts describe her as the mother of demons or a bringer of chaos, others see her as a symbol of feminine power, a figure who represents independence and rebellion in a world that tried to silence her. If Disney handles this carefully, the movie could easily balance both sides, keeping the mystical edge of her being a fallen being while still giving her emotional depth. They could show her isolation after being cast out of Eden, her encounters with angels and spirits, and how her heartbreak slowly hardens into strength. It's the kind of story that fits perfectly into that fairy tale but tragic Disney tone, with lush visuals, haunting music, and a bittersweet moral at the end. The ancient origins of Lilith are complex. Some Mesopotamian legends link her to Lamashtu, another female demon who preyed on infants and pregnant women, traits that might have fueled later Jewish fears about her. In medieval Jewish folklore, she became this terrifying presence that haunted men at night or stole babies in their sleep. People even made amulets and incantation bowls to ward her off, which archaeologists have found dating back over 1,000 years. But here's where things get interesting. Disney could completely flip that old fear into empathy. What if Lilith wasn't stealing children, but protecting them from something worse? What if she was misunderstood by those who feared her power? That's the kind of twist Disney loves, and it would give Charlize Theron's version of Lilith a powerful emotional arc. Charlize, of course, already has the perfect filmography for this kind of role. She's played the ruthless queen in Snow White and the Huntsman, a powerful sorceress in The Old Guard, and an anti-hero in Mad Max Fury Road. So a story that lets her blend all of that, the strength, the sorrow, the commanding presence, would fit her perfectly. She could easily turn Lilith into this tragic yet empowering figure who finds redemption not by changing who she is, but by finally being understood. And let's be honest, a lot of viewers would love a fantasy film that dips a little bit into biblical territory without getting too heavy-handed. Something that takes inspiration from ancient myths, but still feels like a modern-day fairy tale. Think of it like Maleficent meets the Prince of Egypt, with Disney's signature emotional depth. The film could even explore the cosmic side of her story, how Lilith's banishment affected the balance between heaven and earth, or how she became this guardian of the night who protects the forgotten. Maybe she meets other beings cast aside, like fallen angels or cursed spirits, and together they form their own kingdom in the shadows. That would give the story a sense of scale and purpose, transforming her legend from a horror story into a tale of empowerment. Even though some scholars and religious authorities throughout history rejected Lilith's existence, her story refused to die. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.